you're backed by arguably one of the greatest of all time, right?
What are we rating ourselves on? What are we rating on?
Okay.
Well, we want to know. In the least amount of fights, you know, I didn't have to have 70 fights or 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And in the least amount of fights?
Yes, you did.
Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that...
The greatest of all time.
Okay.
All right.
When Terence Bud Crawford confidently said that beating Floyd Mayweather would be simpler than the way he dismantled Errol Spence, the boxing community immediately went into chaos. Social media lit up, debates broke out everywhere, and while many were stunned by the bold claim, no one reacted more strongly to those words than Floyd Mayweather himself.
I think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me?
No questions?
Oh, why would you think that I would say Floyd? You know, that's one of my favorite fighters. But yeah, nah.
Just hours later, Floyd's reaction showed up online, smooth, calm, and icy like always. But people close to him say the anger behind it was real. For the first time in a long while, someone didn't just measure themselves against Floyd. They openly said they would beat him, and not by points, but by stopping him. That's why Floyd took it personally, because this wasn't only about confidence or trash talk. It touched his legacy, his pride, and the scary idea that the throne he once dominated might now belong to someone else. It all started on a major boxing podcast a couple of nights ago when Terence Crawford, coming off his massive win over Canelo Alvarez, was asked a question fighters usually avoid. The host asked how a prime version of him would do against a prime Floyd. Crawford smiled, leaned back, and delivered the line that exploded across boxing social media, saying he would finish Floyd even easier than he finished Errol Spence, calling Floyd great, but himself greater. That single comment spread fast, and within minutes, hashtags like Crawford versus Floyd and the GOAT debate were blowing up around the world.
Yeah, so if he was pound for pound, Floyd was pound for pound. You or Floyd, who would have done that? Who would have won that?
Me.
Oh shit! Okay, I'm just asking. Floyd was pound for pound before.
That would have been a hard fucking fight, though.
Man, me versus anybody. I'm gonna always say me.
Okay,
come on now.
What truly rattled people wasn't just the boldness of Crawford's words, but the way they felt believable. When you break down his resume and remember how methodically he broke down Errol Spence or how he shut down Canelo Alvarez, it's clear this isn't coming from fantasy. Crawford speaks from precision and control, and Floyd understands that reality better than anyone.
You could take a guy like Canelo, this guy could do, he can pick and choose who he want to fight. And I'm gonna tell y'all the truth about Canelo. Easy, man. Cakewalk, easy. Y'all sitting up here, y'all praising this dude. This dude was nothing. I was almost 40 years old when I cooked this dude. Easy. Y'all always disrespecting our fighters.
Here's the reality. Since retiring, Floyd Mayweather has worked hard to stay at the center of attention, shaping every interview, exhibition bout, and headline to keep his name leading the story. But in 2025, that control doesn't feel as strong anymore. While Floyd is stepping into the ring with Mike Tyson in what's largely a throwback spectacle, Crawford is actively creating meaningful moments and adding serious chapters to boxing history.
Think's better out of those two, Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. Like he's actually he moved in weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather's really good too, though. You can't knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have had the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. It would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. I mean, it's like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
Crawford isn't driven by quick money or flashy checks. He's focused on cementing his legacy. And that pursuit of true greatness is exactly what hits Floyd the hardest.
I'm gonna get a lot of too, but honestly, there could be the way where you put Crawford over Mayweather.
Is it the undisputed?
Because of going up, you didn't see Mayweather go up from 147 to 168. That's crazy, bro. And not even, and honestly, I thought Crawford was gonna have more of a hard time because he had a hard time with Madronov. So imagine going up to it. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, but I don't want to take nothing away from Mayweather. Mayweather's the greatest of all time. But I think that was a really big risk that Crawford took, and then he ended up winning. You know what I mean? So you have to give credit to that too. I mean, that's a big risk. That'd be like me going up and fighting Usyk right now, heavyweight.
I know that's been kind of hinted.
I'm not thinking of that right now. I'm not thinking of that right now. No, but that's kind of like how that'd be. You know what I mean? So you have to, bro. That's a lot of. He has a lot of balls to do that. And not only to go do that to show the world that he's really like that.
For a long time, critics argued that Floyd's legacy was built on perfect timing, waiting until rivals were past their best, choosing fights carefully, and making the most money with the least danger. In many ways, that criticism wasn't wrong. He was a brilliant businessman, but that brilliance came with questions attached. On the other side, Terence Crawford is taking a completely different path, facing dangerous fighters at their best, climbing through weight divisions, and accepting challenges Floyd never did. And now he's calling Floyd out not for attention, but to prove his own legitimacy.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion. 3 times over, 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
What makes this even more intriguing is what people close to Mayweather are saying behind the scenes. Floyd reportedly feels disrespected, not simply because of the statement, but because of the man who made it. Floyd built his brand on influence and loyalty, discovering and guiding fighters like Gervonta Davis and shaping their careers under his wing. Crawford, however, never followed that path. He didn't train with Floyd, didn't sign with him, and never relied on his system. Instead, Crawford rose to the top by himself, carving out superstardom on his own terms, something only a handful of fighters in boxing history have managed to do.
I beat this guy, it's an excuse, I beat this guy, you know, he's too young or whatever. So I'm never really going to give my full respect until afterwards. Yes, you know, it's a lot of people that's changing their narrative. Like, man, y'all watching something great right now, and we not appreciating it. And it's sad to say that we waking up at the tail end of his career. You know, we really didn't realize it until now, when he's like doing extraordinary stuff, like going up 2 weight classes to fight the best fighter in that division, the #1 guy that's the face of boxing, you know. And the way that I handled that, people like, oh man, something had to be wrong. Canelo had to be washed, or Canelo just wasn't in it. I see people saying, oh, Turkey paid for Canelo to lose, you know. So I just think, you know, when you that much better than the competition, you know, people not going to give you credit until they sit down and look at it and just be like, man, that dude was good.
That very independence is what makes Floyd uneasy. According to a promoter close to him, Floyd sees a version of himself in Crawford, but stripped of the control he's used to. Crawford is following a path similar to Floyd's, but without the behind-the-scenes maneuvering. And that's what bothers Floyd the most. He hates being measured against someone who could match his achievements. He's always preferred being the one whose success can't be copied.
I'll let you know, there's no fighter that will ever be better than me. There's no fighter that wasn't better than me before me or after me or when I'm long gone. I'm the best.
The key difference is that Crawford isn't attempting to imitate Floyd. He's creating an entirely new blueprint for greatness.
Where's he rank now, all time? Ending this interview.
#1, and the only one that he got at top is Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Terence Crawford's this generation guy. You know what I'm saying? Accomplishing all the goals that he accomplished.
Matched up? How do they match up, Floyd and Terence?
Hey, I'm like this, man. It's going to be great because Floyd, he's about his work. He put in work. We've been watching it for decades. You know what I'm saying? Him coming out of retirement to do this fight, that's a win for the whole world boxing. Every generation from Floyd generation to this generation to get to see it come. That's just like we never get to see Michael Jordan play, right? But we remember when he used to play. Come on. So
now, here's why this conversation sparks so much debate. Floyd Mayweather was the epitome of untouchable mastery in his era, rarely losing rounds and almost never a fight. His defense was so precise that even the hardest hitters looked like amateurs. Crawford, in contrast, thrives on controlled chaos. He doesn't rely on simply outscoring opponents. He dismantles them piece by piece, taking control by breaking them down entirely.
World of comparisons that we live in right now, if you can, compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence Bud Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
When Crawford faced Errol Spence, the crowd braced for a brutal slugfest. But what unfolded was a lesson in precision and control. He methodically broke Spence down, sending him to the canvas 3 times and ultimately finishing the fight with surgical accuracy.
I didn't expect that the fight it will be like that, but I thought it will finish 12 rounds. But Crawford he did a good job.
Is Crawford time for pound number one? Time for pound number one?
I think so.
How do we...
Rematch, I don't think
do you feel like they need a rematch, Manny, after what you saw tonight?
I don't know if there's a rematch.
That's all we gotta go.
It's kind of one-sided fight.
Does this fight make Terence Crawford an all-time great in your eyes?
Well, he's still in his career, so he's prime in his career, so we'll see the journey of his life.
Performances like that are something Floyd never showed against the very best. While he outclassed Canelo, it was a younger version of Canelo who hadn't reached his peak. Crawford, on the other hand, defeated Canelo 2 weight classes above his own. That's why many analysts today are openly debating it. Terence Crawford could surpass Floyd Mayweather in terms of overall dominance. Even boxing icons are weighing in. Roy Jones Jr. remarked, skill for skill, Floyd was smoother. But when it comes to total control and dominance, Crawford is doing things we've never witnessed before.
When you mention great fighters, right? 90% of the great fighters are black. The ones from the past. Now, with the Eastern Bloc coming on like they are, there's going to be some great ones coming on now. Even with Lil Tony, as you see it, these guys are going to be great. They're going to start eclipsing and coming up there too. But right now, if you had to name 5 of the best fighters of all time, 4 of them going to be black. You understand me? Who did he beat that was black in his prime, that was in their prime, that was on his level?
Max Kellerman summed it up perfectly. Floyd's battles were about maintaining control, while Crawford steps into the ring chasing pure glory. That distinction defines their eras and styles.
Because, like, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time.
Oh, yes.
That makes a difference to people.
Crawford did amazing, he a legend, man, 3-time undisputed, you got to take his hat up to him, he went up 2 weight classes and dominated a legend, so my hat goes off to him and he's all respect.
Do you think Canelo is the same guy that he was before? He think he's completely falling off?
Canelo's Canelo, you know what I mean? Canelo's a legend, bro. You gotta, at the end of the day, whatever happened that fight, that don't diminish his career, his image. You feel me? I think right now, he's at that time where he took an L, but he ain't take an L, you know what I'm saying? He got paid and he a legend at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? So if he want to walk over in the sunset right now, his name, his last name is in the cement, you know what I'm saying? As one of the greatest Mexican fighters in the world.
I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but Crawford does have all the titles. You're a really big name. he's kind of in your way right now a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that a fight where it's just like, yeah, me and him can get it on for sure?
Not for sure. Definitely, you know what I'm saying? We don't duck no smoke. But, you know, right now, you know, I'm focused on my comeback fight, you know what I'm saying? You know, I gotta put my head down, you know, whatever happened in my last fight is cool, but you know, that ain't dim my light at all, you know what I'm saying? I'm still a superstar, I'm still a star, I'm still the king of New York, man, you know? I'm fly, I look good, I fight good, man, so, you know, I'm just...
Meanwhile, Floyd has stayed firmly on the defensive, constantly pointing to his undefeated 50-0 record, his earnings, pay-per-view dominance, and business empire. Crawford, however, isn't focused on stats. He's focused on building a lasting legacy. That contrast makes this moment feel like a symbolic passing of the torch, even if Floyd isn't ready to acknowledge it. Mayweather's reign was defined by perfection and calculated safety, while Crawford's journey is defined by evolution and bold risks. One day, Crawford might taste defeat, but it will come from daring to risk everything, not from playing it safe.
And I beat him, but we both been out there, they say he's over the hill. But then when Pacquiao fights him, they say, oh, this is the greatest thing we ever seen. So then when I fight Hatton, they say I'm too big for Hatton, but then they say,
No, nobody said that. You got full credit for both of those wins, Floyd. That's why you became a superstar.
No, I did not.
Yes,
no,
you
I
did.
Did not. No,
sure
I did
you
not.
did. From
are
me,
you gonna
I
let
gave
me
you full
speak my
credit.
piece?
If you're talking to me now,
am I gonna
I
speak
gave
my
you
piece?
full credit for that.
Am I gonna speak my piece or not?
Go
am
ahead.
I gonna speak my piece or not?
Go ahead.
Okay, because you want to interview me. I ain't interviewing you. You want to talk to me. I don't worry about talking.
Floyd,
you want to talk
go
to
ahead.
me.
I'm waiting on you.
So then when I fight Hatton, they said, oh, Mayweather is too big for Hatton. But then Marquez and Pacquiao can fight, it's no problem. But now, but I'm too big for Marquez. I'm too big for Marquez, but I'm not too big for Pacquiao. Which one is it?
Well,
which one is it?
Which one is it?
Which one is it?
It's that Pacquiao was 130 pounds and he keeps moving out and whacking guys who are much bigger. He gets full credit.
That's the distinction between an icon and a legend, and Floyd knows it. It's why he's resurfacing in interviews, commenting on the new generation chasing headlines, reminding everyone of his billions and business acumen. When the conversation shifts to true greatness, he doesn't like the direction it's taking. But you can't fight time, and you can't stop the future. But so what's next? Rumors are swirling that Floyd might sit down for an interview to set the record straight, likely highlighting his undefeated record and historic earnings. Yet no matter what he says, it won't halt Crawford's momentum. Fans are already reshaping the story. Crawford isn't chasing Mayweather. He's stepping into the role Floyd once owned, where the face of modern boxing was once Floyd's confident smirk under the bright lights. It's now Crawford's steely gaze beneath championship gold. And in a way, Floyd helped pave the path. By setting the standard for so long, he created a blueprint for Crawford to surpass. Respect is still due. Floyd Mayweather revolutionized the sport, built a massive empire, defeated every opponent of his time, and earned more than any fighter in history. But Crawford is redefining what greatness means. He may not be undefeated, but he's undisputed 3 times over. He fights not for fame, but for legacy. So when Floyd claims there are levels to greatness, he might be right, but those levels have shifted. What was once the pinnacle of boxing greatness has now become Crawford's starting point.
A lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in the fight between Terence and Floyd. And I truly don't know the answer to that.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who would win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd would win that
Yes, sir.
fight.
I love you, Terence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah, he's
a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in that
The funny thing about it is Terence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out. You know?
That's true.
But you
gotta have an OG somewhere.
Anybody else? Yeah.
There's an OG
Somebody
somewhere.
gotta pioneer it, right?
Figure
Yeah,
out.
you gotta.
There's
yeah.
an OG you can't out-figure out somewhere. And I just believe Floyd is that OG you can't out-figure out.
Now, all eyes are on Crawford. He's mentioned having a few more fights before hanging up the gloves, potentially a showdown with Jermell Charlo, a rematch against Canelo, or even moving up to 160 pounds to chase one last championship belt.
Trainer, do you feel like you should just sail off into the sunset after this monumental
Well,
win?
you know what? They made it look so easy. You know what I'm saying? Got 2-3 more in him. You know what I'm saying? Frank Campbell tried harder. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think a move to 160 would make sense?
I mean, if you want to do it, you know, it'd be a challenge if you want to challenge yourself. Yeah, I don't mind.
Every decision Crawford makes from this point forward strengthens his legacy. This isn't just a discussion anymore. It's a shift of power. The ruler of the old era facing off against the leader of the new. One preserved his fame and fortune, while the other is shaping history through risk and precision. One fought to retire wealthy. The other fights to be remembered forever.
Before the fight, the Crawford-Canelo fight, and you had a Cavs hat on. This time you've got a GOAT hat on. Is that how you're feeling? I know it says Muhammad Ali, but is that how you're feeling about Bud's performance, about his whole career?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling that way, man. Go. Greatest of all time, man. You gotta give it to him. You gotta give it to him. You gotta give it to his coaches. Not just me, Saul Red, Bernie, Chet, nutritionists. You know, everybody played a part.
Canelo said he's way better than Mayweather. What do you think to that?
Who, Terence?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Of course he is.
And in the end, maybe that's what's gnawing at Floyd the most. The fact that the one fighter who could hypothetically defeat him doesn't have to prove it. He already has. So, fight fans, what's your take? Was Floyd justified in his reaction? Or has Crawford simply shown that the crown has quietly shifted? Share your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth boxing analysis. I'll see you in the next video.